So let's do this. It's been a while since I've done some Elden Ring. A matter of fact, I think Elden Ring was one of the very first video game OSTs I did on my channel that actually blew up, and I was like going, whoa, this is fun. Plus the music's killer. So let's do this. All right. I just glitched. Creepy dissonant. You know what's unique about this and the engineering and the composition of it is that as big as it sounds, it's really the bottom end of the composition is what's giving it some what I would call thickness and depth, and the heaviness of it. A lot of the instrumentation that's happening on the top, it's lonely, uh, uh, meandering in the sense of like nomadic sounding kind of a performance that the composer wants. It's not a string section. It doesn't sound like doing some of this nice melody work and stuff, or dissonant actually melody work. It's like one string, you know, that might be doubled with a flute. It's giving a very weird little phasey dissonance vibe to it. But when the vocals came in, I'm gonna say that those are live vocals. I couldn't tell. I was trying to peg it to maybe something I may have recognized you know, on one of the modules that I use. But there are some incredibly wonderful and powerful dark dissonant notes that are being played there. So these are these colliding notes that caused the dissonance, that in its half step or half tones and stuff like that. They work, they're just harsh, you know. They could be pretty if they were seconds, fourths, and ninths. That's a whole different thing. But these weird little colliding dissonant sections makes us very, like, I imagine in my head, I don't know the game, but I imagine in my head like lunging through like mud, dragging your knuckles, barely getting to the next, that kind of like laboring kind of darkness and sadness and heaviness is what this composition kind of is reminding me of. If I may take a little bit from the video game that I first played ever since I started this journey, was Journey. It kind of reminds me of that scene before my Journey dude dies from going up the snow. It's too windy and pushing back. It's that kind of really kind of heaviness and like you just can't two steps ahead, one step forward kind of vibe. But this is just heavy, heavy, heavy. Do you hear like it's a single instrument conversation keeps going back between? That can't be it. Wait, there's got to be more. Love that, the heaviness of the horns that brings you out, like, When you see me do that and I'm listening to something, you see me go, it's because something very unique happens at a certain place that kind of throws me for, a bit of a loop in the experience of listening. One of it was a harmonics of one of the pads that was kind of hanging over. Like when it releases, sometimes there's harmonics that are caused by colliding arrangement tones. Could be another pad and another pad that causes this so unearthly, heavy kind of beyond chicken skin. It's more like kind of a vibe. One of the things too, remember I said at the beginning in the first stop that the overwhelming power of a lot of this, what we're hearing, is the bottom end and its tone. Now we get into a much more ethereal, ambient kind of phase, and it's these floating purgatory style composition that's there. But that's that high universal vibe. And what I mean by that is because of its floatiness, and it's got in its tones, it's like from about 5,000 plus 7,500, plus in the tones of, beetle fart to dog whistle is what I call 0 to 16K. But what we hear here is probably every 4 measures or every 2 measures, we hear a very big, heavy bottom end drum just going boom. But it's held out. There's a sustain on it, be it in post or how the sound was designed, or maybe the sample had a long decay on it. That's a very important part of this piece. It's very ominous, and it adds to that like creepy spaciness of what we're hearing. I think so, Mephisto. First of all, Bromagessen, thank you so much for that. That was brilliant, and I really enjoyed listening to that. Mephisto had brought up something if there was cymbal scrapes, which it sounded like there was. I was listening to it, but I was kind of immersed in some other stuff. When you brought it up, I listened to it, and it sounds like a cymbal scrape. And but it could have been because of the fact that I already know that there's introduced modules in this. The ambient things and stuff like that. We don't know if they're using any other side percussive things that might not be of an orchestra. But for those of you who don't know, a cymbal scrape is exactly what it says. A percussive, the person, the timpani and the percussionist of an orchestra will take, depends. It could be a stick. There's a couple of implements, and literally start at the bell and rest it at the bell and just slide it down the cymbal. Gives you that and you can kind of hear a little bit of the ribbing of, depending on what cymbal they do it on too as well, because there are, very, very flush polished cymbals, but some of them have slight ribbing to it, and that's where you get that, you get a little percussive slide off on that. But anyhow, I was so stoked to hear that, but it was really unique to, like I said, I don't know if you guys kind of kept an ear on it or not, but after I stopped, I said, listen to that very low boom. And then somebody, I don't know who it was, that said that this particular scene is happens on an open ocean. Once I read that, I went, oh, this totally makes sense then. But then all of a sudden I'm thinking, wow, this could have worked in Abzu. And there was parts of this that could have worked on Journey and stuff. So it is of the nature of relaying that kind of abyss, endless possibility a la Ocean. You have a la Universe and a la Ocean. And I like a la Ocean because I don't live too far from the a la Ocean.